All right, here we go. Listen, now today is another very easy day. Actually, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are pretty easy days. So we're gonna have another quiz on Friday. All right. Now, again, listen though. However, this today is like the building block for all of graphs. So I really need you to pay attention. I need you to understand the vocabulary. All right. If you understand today's lesson, you'll be in pretty good shape for the next probably month. All right. If you miss today's lesson, it's going to be hard. All right. So please pay attention and don't wait until we get to question 10 before you decide to ask me a question. All right. Now, we're on the study guide right now, so we're just going to go ahead and talk real quick. And we're going to kind of run through it so I can get you the vocabulary. All right. And then once you get the vocabulary, it's really kind of easy. All right. So now, right off the bat, it says we're trying to identify what equation makes a line. So let's look real quick, right off the bat. Linear equation. That's just a fancy way for saying the equation of a line. That's all that means. All right, so some graphs are going to be linear. Some are going to be what we say is a parabola. All right, there's all kinds of graphs. But we're, in Algebra 1, going to focus on lines and quadratics or parabolas. All right, so we're starting off basic. All right, and anything that can be written in this form, ax plus by equals c, is considered a line. All right, and we say that form is the standard form. All right, now notice there's one x, there's one y, and there's a constant. And the constants are a, b, and c. And basically that means that can be just any number, including 0. All right, including 0. All right, but there has to be at least one x and at least one y. And we'll get to all the different examples. All right. Now, the other form that I want to talk about is that I need you to write down is this form. All right. I want you to write y equals mx plus b. All right. And this is called slope intercept form. It's called the slope intercept form. Now, I don't know why they chose m, but m represents the slope and b represents the y-intercept. All right? Now we're going to talk in much detail about that. All right? By the end of the week, you'll know exactly what I'm saying, but this is just the introduction. All right? Just the introduction. So basically, I want to remind you also that this is to the first power and this is to the first power. And notice how the x and y are separated by addition or subtraction. All right, so that's how you tell. All right, that's how you tell. All right. Now, I want to look down and we're just going to go ahead because I think you're pretty smart. We're going to go ahead and start with the problems. All right, basically it's a yes or no question. All right, 2x equals 4y. Is that considered linear? And the answer would be yes. All right, notice there's an x to the first power and a y to the first power. Everybody agree with that? All right. Now, there is also a constant. If you wanted to, you could say plus 0. Everybody agree with that? So you're going to see how that's linear. All right. In other words, if we graph that, that would make a what? That would make a line. Everybody happy with that? All right. Now let's look at number 2. You should, under this, just write down y equals 2. Everybody okay with that? I just subtracted 6 from both sides. Now, is that linear? And the answer is, it's missing a what? X. But technically, I could put what? 0x. Does everybody agree with that? So guess what? It's linear, right? So we'd say that's yes, that forms a line. All right, that forms a line. All right, let's look at question number 3. Does that have an x and a y and a constant? So that's definitely what? Yes, that will make a line. All right, now let's look at, question number 4. Is that a yes or a no? Definitely a no, because the x and y are attached with multiplication. The x and y must be separated by addition and subtraction, and there's no way to separate them. Is everybody with me on this? So this would definitely be a what? That would definitely be no. Number 5. That's a what? Yes. You can have an x or a y or an x and a y. Do we agree with that? All right. You just can't have x, y together, like multiply together. Yes. Most of them should be yes. All right, but let's go through and see. Definitely a no?
Because it's the second power.
X squared. That's called a parabola or a quadratic. All right, we're going to be talking about those at the end of the year. I know, it does sound fancy, but it's not. Number 7, that's a what? Okay, so now I'm feeling pretty good about this. So now I'm not going to waste much time. We're just going to go through here and you're just going to say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, whatever you think. All right, here we go. Number 8. Number 9. Yes. Number 10. Yes, fractions are allowed. So does everybody agree 10 is yes? 11. Definitely yes. 12. Definitely no. 13. 14. No. 15. Yes. Very good. 16. 17. No. 18. Definitely no. All right, so I think you got the hang of it. All right, that's relatively easy. I'm probably not going to have a question on the test where you just say if it's linear or not. All right? But again, that's super important. All right? So the equations with an x and a y are going to make a line. That's why we say they're linear equations. All right? Now, let's move on. Let's see what's next. To the next page. All right? Now, there are some particular things about graphs. And now we're going to get into how you graph a line. All right? There's lots of ways to graph a line. Today I'm going to show you 2 techniques. I think on Wednesday I'm going to show you a 3rd technique. But right now, we're just getting into, again, the basics. All right? And the 2 words that you're going to come up a lot with are what's referred to as the x-intercept and the y-intercept. The x-intercept is where the line crosses, guess what? Crosses the x-axis. Everybody happy with that? And what do you think the y-intercept is? Where the line crosses the what? The y-axis. All right? Now, when something crosses the x-axis, it will have a coordinate of x, comma, 0. When the line crosses the y-axis, it's going to have a what? You're awesome. 0, comma, y. That is true. All right? So those are the things that are super important for this lesson. Super, super important for this lesson. The line crosses the x-axis at x0, and the line crosses the y-axis at 0y. That's the definition of x-intercept and y-intercept. All right? Now I want to look at this problem right here I'm going to blow up on. And I want someone to tell me, what am I pointing at right there? What is that called? That would be incorrect. That would be the y-intercept. Zoe, why is it the y-intercept?
Because it's 0, comma, 3.
Yes, or you can just simply say that's where the line crosses the what? The y-axis. This down here is called the what? x-intercept because that's where the line crosses the x-axis. Notice on the y-intercept, the x value is what? On the y-intercept, the x value is what? On the y-intercept, the x value is what? On the x-intercept, the y value is what? Is everybody with me on this? I'm just trying to make that observation for you, make sure you understand it. All right? If you're looking for the x-intercept, you're looking for an x-coordinate. If you're looking for a y-intercept, you're looking for a y-coordinate. The y-intercept, the x is 0. The x-intercept, the y is 0. All right? Super important. All right? Now what we're going to do now is I'm going to go through now and I'm going to teach you how to graph using the intercepts. No, not yet. Let me just show you something because I'm going to show you how simple it is. All right? And some of you probably know how to do it. All right? I wouldn't doubt that you know how to do it already. But here's how I like to teach kids. Look right here. We're going to make a table. Right? And I think you guys have done this. This is the x-coordinate. This is the y-coordinate. Now, if I'm trying to find the x-intercept, the y value is 0. And if I'm trying to find the x-intercept, the x is 0. Is everybody happy with that explanation? All right, now watch. I love Notability for this. Copy. Paste. Uh-oh. Yeah, hold on. Let me do it again. Right, this is what I want you to make sure you know. I don't know why. Hold on a second. You're not understanding. There we go. I know how to do it. There we go. And then I got one more to do. So I paste that. There we go. Everybody see that? Just save you a little bit of time. All right, anybody have any questions with that? So that's how you're going to start these problems. All right. Now, here we go. I need you listening carefully to me now for question number 1. All right, now, last class, I said this, and people are like, huh, what? Stop saying that until you give your brain time to think about the problem. So I want everybody to look up on the board. If this is my equation, and I tell you that the y value is 0, I know that the x value will be -1. Now, before you, how did you do that? I want you to think about what I said. If the y value is 0, x is what? -1. And how did I get that? What did I do? Yes, that's exactly right. If the y value is 0, this becomes a 0. And you're left with what? 2x equals -2. Therefore, x equals what? -1. All right? Now we're going to think again. All right? Now, I'm going to let x be 0. If I let x be 0, you should be able to easily tell me that y should be what then? -2. Now again, if you guys didn't understand that, plug 0 in for x. If 0 comes out to be x, that means this itself is what? So, y equals -2. That's how simple. Now you do what? Plot those points. So now let's practice plotting -1, 0. -1, 0 is here. 0, -2 is here. Now your job is to draw the line. All right, and here we go, drawing this line. That's right, no line segments. Anybody have any questions with that? Everybody agree that's pretty easy, right? Any questions or concerns? I think we're going to do 2 more, Walker. Here we go. Number 2. All right, try to think carefully now. Remember, think before you speak. If the y value is 0, x is what? Who said that? Anybody agree with that?
Yeah.
All right, I'm agreeing with you. Good job. All right, now the hard one. Be careful because we had lots of dumb mistakes. If the x is 0, the y is what? Have a 2. You agree with 2, Walker? I think it's 2. I say what? 1/2. Why would you say 1/2? Stop. 1/2 is the right answer. Come on, don't give up on yourself. 1/2 is correct. Right? Be strong. Just because I tell you you're wrong, you got to be able to defend yourself now. Don't be wimpy. All right? You should look at that and say, come on now. It has to be what? It has to be 1/2. Any of you who said it was 2, you're just making careless mistakes. You're going too fast. You see the number 6 and you see the number 3, and you automatically assume it's what? 2. Bad decision. All right? It's not 2. It's what? It's 1/2, right? Double check and make sure you understand why it's 1/2. If you understand why it's 1/2, then I don't need to explain it. If you don't know why it's 1/2, I'll be happy to explain it. Walker, did you understand that now?
I think not.
I don't want you to think you understand. I want you to know you understand. Yes, good. So you're looking at this right here. I'm going to cross this out because x was 0, right? What times 6 is 3? Definitely not 2. Yeah, there you go. Right? Now, let's say you didn't know that. We could just do this. Divide by -6. You need to see it as a fraction. Do I see that, right? And you see why most people make the mistake and just put 2 down. Don't be one of those. All right? Say what you're dividing by. 3 divided by 6. I can't help you if you think 3 divided by 6 is 2. All right? Take 3, divide it up 6 ways. I'm not getting 2 on that. Some of you still are. I understand. All right? But it's definitely 1/2. Now, I had somebody in last class say, well, how in the heck do I graph 1/2? It's somewhere between what? It's between what? 0 and 1. It's probably what? Halfway there. That's exactly right. So, -1, 0. 0, 1/2. Now, try to draw the line. And make it as perfect as mine. I know, it is hard. All right, some of you can't draw straight lines with notability. Wow, very good. All right, now let's see how brilliant we are. All right, I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to knock out number 3. Put your hands down. All right, I'm walking around the room. I'm expecting there to be the x-intercept, the y-intercept, and the graph.
Oh my gosh. Sorry.
Let's go, let's go. Chop, chop. I'm walking around the room. Let's go, let's go. Come on, girls. Straight lines. Let's try that. Awesome. Oh, you're drawing circles. This is a line, not a circle. All right. So if y is 0, the x is what? If the y is 0, the x is 1. Thank you. If the x is 0, the y is?
-2.
Thank you very much. And for those of you guys who can plot points, 1, 0, 0, -2, and now try to draw your straight line. Nothing like Casey's, of course. All right, he's drawing circles over here. All right. That is how simple that lesson is. Very simple in order to graph a line. All right, it is simple. All right, that's it. All right. Now, the next case is we're going to graph making a table. All right, so now listen, I know that was easy, but this is a little bit different, so I need your attention. All right, so we're going to make a table. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make a table, and because I like to do things as quickly as possible, X, Y is my table. I'm going to copy, and then we're going to paste. Perfect. Okay. Now, y equals 2x is set up perfectly. All right, I don't have to change that. All right. The problem is, do you remember last year we asked you to put 3 numbers in? Do you remember what 3 numbers we asked you to put in? Do you remember from last year? I think we asked you to put in -1, 0, and 1. Do you remember that? All right. So these numbers you always put in. All right. Normally you put in 2, but if you make a mistake, you won't know that you've made a mistake. That's why we say use 3 points. Because if you make a line with 2 points, you can always make a line. But if you do a 3rd point, you can see if you made a mistake. Is everybody with me on that? All right. So now, if the x is -1, now remember what I tried to tell you guys. I don't want you to hear, what, huh, how'd you do that? All right. I want you to figure out the answer. If x is -1, the y value is what? -2. If the x value is 0, the y value is what? 0. And if the x value is 1, the y value is 2. Perfect. All right. Is everybody with me on this now? Now, you just have to graph those 3 points. All right. So when we graph those points, -1, -2, 0, 0, and 1, 2. And what do you notice about all 3 of those points? They line up and form a what? A line. Beautiful. Another straight line. All right? Or hopefully a straight line. Yeah, Walker. All right, I haven't seen your lines yet, but I'll be over there in a minute. All right, does anybody have any issues with that? All right. Now, I need you to put a star by number 5. And I need you to put a star by number 6. All right? The reason we're putting stars by that is because I need you to put it in the form y equals mx plus b, which basically means I need you to solve it for y. All right? I need you to solve it for y. So now, pay attention because here's the hard part. The x is out of place. So I'm going to physically pick the x up, and I'm going to move it to the other side. And when I move to the other side, it becomes what? -x. So now my equation is -y is equal to -x minus 1. Is everybody happy with that so far? Listen to what I'm saying. Does everybody see I moved the x, right?
Yes.
Now, the next problem is that the y value has a negative in front of it. I don't want the y to have a negative. I want it to be what? Positive. So how I want you guys to remember this is, whenever the variable is negative, that just means change all signs. That means change all signs. You literally could say I want to multiply by -1 or divide by -1, but I think it's just easier to say just change the signs. And you change all of the signs. So when I do that, the new equation works out to be y equals x plus 1. Now, does anybody have any issues with that? Now, what numbers am I going to use for x again? -1, 0, and 1. That is accurate. So now, if I let x be -1, y is what? 0. If x is 0, y is what? If x is 1, y is beautiful. All right, now we have to graph those points. Negative 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, and now try to draw a line. Perfect, as usual. Right, Casey? Doesn't look like your circle. All right. All right, here we go. Now, again, I'm coming up to something different on question number 6. So I definitely need your attention on 6. It's a little bit different. All right. So I'm having an issue. X is in the wrong spot. Do you agree with that?
Yep.
So I throw X over, it becomes?
Negative X.
Right, so your equation is now 2y equals negative X plus 4. Anybody have a problem? Now, the problem now is that we have a what? 2. I have to get rid of multiplying by 2. So when I get rid of multiplying by 2, I have to do what? I'm going to have to divide everything through by 2. And when I divide everything through by 2, this by 2, this by 2, this by 2, I end up with y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. Is everybody okay with that? Again, 1 divided by 2 is what? Not 2. 1/2. All right? But in this case, it's negative 1/2. Does everybody agree?
Yeah.
All right. Now, the reason why I said make a star by this one is because now I have to be careful. What x values do I want to use?
Negative 1.
Wrong. Not negative 1, 0, 1 anymore. Because if I use negative 1 for x, I get what? A fraction. And I would prefer not to do fractions. So instead of using negative 1, 0, and 1, I could use negative 2, then what? And then brilliant. That's exactly right. Why am I going to use negative 2, 0, and 2? Right. So if the answer was 1/3 x, I'm going to use any number that's divisible by what? 3. And the smallest number that's divisible by 3 is 3. So I'm happy with that explanation. And the reason we're using that again is because I don't really want to graph fractions. I want to graph whole numbers. All right? So we're going to choose negative 2, 0, and 2. Now again, here's the point where I say to you, be careful, please. Don't make mistakes with fractions. All right? If I plug negative 2 in, the y value will be what? Take your time. The y value will be what? If I plug negative 2 in for x. Who said it? 3. Beautiful. Because what's negative 1/2 times negative 2? 1. 1 plus 2. 3. Am I good on that? 0 times anything is plus 2. Now you should see a pattern now. All of these have patterns to them. So what's the next one without doing any work? 1. Now, of course, we're going to check ourselves. Negative 1/2 times 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 2 is what? Correct again. All right. Now, does anybody have any questions with those numbers? Yes, ma'am. So watch how simple. Really. Look right here. It's this simple. All right. So I'm going to go back to this one real quick. If I plug in negative 1 for x, what's 2 times negative 1? See how easy that is now? If I plug 0 in, I get what? And if I plug 1 in. You see what I'm saying, right? All you're doing is you're plugging it back into the equation, and that gives you the y. You with me? All right, so that should answer that. All right, so now everybody's got to plot those points. Negative 2, 3, 0, 2, 2, 1. And again, we'll try to get this line drawn. As usual, perfection. Now again, notability is awesome for this, guys. Awesome for the graphic. All right, yes ma'am. M stands for slope, and B stands for y-intercept. I told you on Wednesday I'm probably going to explain all that to you. All right, that's another shortcut we'll be using. All right, we really don't use plotting points, but plotting points is important because when we do parabolas and stuff like that, you might forget, so you can always plot points to get the graph. All right, but there's just shortcuts to everything. All right. Now again, listen, your job right now is to look at these first two worksheets and go, man, that's not that bad. Right? It's really simple. Really simple. All right. Now, what I want you to do is, the only one I want you to look at now is question 13 on the next page, and then I'm going to leave you alone. All right, this one's a little awkward, right? Because I don't have an x. Do you agree? But it says that y is always what? X can be anything. So if x can be anything, we're just going to go what? -1, 0, and 1. And then all the y values would be what? 4. And you can see if you graph those lines, you end up with a horizontal line. All right, is everybody with me on this? All right. Now, again, I think that's it for me today. Your homework is just to do 1 through 18. All right, 1 through 18. And 1 through 9 should take you about 10 seconds. All right. You should be, the rest of this should be relatively easy for you. Now, look what they did in 13 through 18 here. They switched them up. Is everybody with me? So everybody look, you have to read the directions, right? Graph by making a table, that's what we just did. And then the intercepts are 16 through 18. Everybody hearing me? So don't make a mistake. If they say do intercepts, do it the intercept way. If they say do table, do it the way I showed you with the table. Yes, sir.
There are two eigenvalues, 5 and 3. Would that still be a...
Yeah, because you can combine terms.
Okay.
You with me?
Yeah.
All right. All right, get busy, guys. Try to finish it up before you leave.
Okay. Wow.